The Canada-Mercosur trade deal is on the table, but is it enough to unlock real economic growth? In this episode, we break down the proposed agreement and what it means for businesses, trade, and investment. To help us with the conversation is Peter Hawkins. Peter is the Senior Vice President of Mellow Hawk Logistics, a company that provides end-to-end shipping logistics around the globe. He is an award-winning entrepreneur and the chair of the Mississauga Board of Trade International Trade Committee. And he joins us today. Welcome, Peter.
I am thrilled to be here, and I'm thrilled to be here because I have a good news story.
Oh, well, Peter, you've always got good news stories. I mean, sometimes it's peppered with some reality, but always good news stories. Listen, you and I have talked about this Mercosur deal, which we'll ask you to explain the basis of Mercosur. Mercosur is also married up with the EU for an agreement there, and also they've married up now with Canada as well. So let's start with a refresher on Mercosur and what it is.
So, David, great question. So, Mercosur, or Mercosur, if you're doing Spanish or if you're doing Portuguese, is the enormous trading bloc that is in southern South America, and it involves Argentina, Bolivia, Uruguay, Paraguay, and Brazil. And Brazil is by far the biggest partner in that. So Brazil is where the actual negotiations are happening. These have been going on for years, for a whole decade, and really nothing happened for that decade. COVID happened. There was some protectionism on our side. There was government flip-flops on their side. And so with everything, it really was delayed. Now, with the new geopolitical situation that we now see, of course, there's much greater interest because there is I think 300,000 potential clients, and 200,000 of those are actually in Brazil. So what I think is happening now, and there's still a little bit of mystery, but things are moving very, very quickly. The Canadian trade negotiators have been back and forth. The Brazilians have been up here as well. And by all messages that I'm getting from the different embassies and consulates, that things are moving quickly. And the thorny issues, which were meat, dairy, steel, and timber, seem to be largely not resolved, easier to negotiate. President Lula has invited Prime Minister Carney to come down for a visit. That visit is still up in the air. He has accepted. We just haven't seen the visit. Perhaps the visit is to go down to shake a hand and maybe sign something, but that would be unheard of. To just imagine that, something that somebody sat on for a decade is now whipping through in really months. So I was party to some of the hearings that happened in Ottawa, and the issues around, of course, is a lot of agriculture and food in Canada. People are worried that that'll be supplanted, and a lot of problems with steel would be an issue too because of inferior Chinese steel coming in through Brazil, coming up here. That is a big issue that people are resolving, and I think they're going to resolve it, and I think this will absolutely move ahead. What this means once they do sign and ratify, what this means for Canadians. For Canadians is enormous market in the same time zone where they can go down and actually find organizations and find companies who want to buy from us. They're all super attracted to us already. Now, the whole Mercosur bloc has already signed with the EU, and they have just signed into law this week. And so that's been incredibly exciting to see how quickly that moved. And Canada has an EU arrangement too. So that's all very exciting. So imagine now we're going north-south to this region.
Peter, with this deal, this is a trade deal, or is this a free trade deal? Because big difference in those ones. And as we know, getting goods into Brazil. Brazil is, and this is not me saying it, these are Brazilians are saying this, that Brazil has a very protectionist economy and high tariffs for any goods coming in. So how is this agreement going to assist Canadian companies with that?
So you're right. Free trade is never free. It is a reduced tariff negotiation. So already they have simplified their tariff system dramatically, their whole tax and tariff system, reducing it down to 3 primary taxes from, I think, originally 5, and at one point there was 7. So having this all come down has been very exciting. On the second part of this, though, is that it is protectionist and it is not protectionist. What I think is if you have something that they don't have, they want it. If you have something that they're willing to pay for, they want it. And there's also a very rich middle class that wants goods. What will happen is the reduced prices, the reduced tariffs will be certainly to the advantage of North America, of Canadians going down. However, you must go and negotiate. You must go down and understand that there is no sitting back and trying to do a sale the way so many Canadians do is we get online or we get on the phone and say, I've got something to sell you. What's the price? Great, we'll buy it. That is not going to happen there. This will be a case of repeated visits, going down to Brazil, going to Argentina, going to these other countries to see, can we do a deal? And then coming back again, do you still want to do a deal? And then coming back again and saying, okay, we'll do a deal. And throughout that entire process, before you interrupt me, that entire process is involving a barbecue and caipirinhas. Okay, go ahead, Dave.
Well, Peter, I was going to ask you that. Is this very much, is it a cultural thing with South American where you need to establish a relationship first before they do business with you, as it is with other countries, in other countries, other cultures? It's not transactional. They want to know who they're dealing with.
It's 100% a cultural thing, but it's not that different from us. I was at an event yesterday, and somebody made a very interesting observation. It was a Brazilian as well, who said that the Brazilians want to get to know you so that they can trust you, and then they will do the deal. Canadians actually, it's the deal that they trust. And so it's about trust both ways, but it's formed differently. With a Brazilian meeting, you are going to have 45 minutes of the social, personal stuff and 15 minutes of the business stuff. However, once they start moving forward and more they're understanding that we Canadians are Germans with a smile, we like to get stuff done. And so once we do that, they are willing to play ball with us too. And what I have found over the years is I've been going down there now for 36 years and dealing with many Brazilians and getting good business done, is making sure that that they do know that I'm coming back. That is something that we often struggle. Canadians go once, think they have a deal, but in fact, it's the repeated visit. And you do need a local partner. And you need a local partner because Brazilians particularly, but also Argentinos, everybody needs somebody local to complain to. So you need to make sure that is available too. And you need to be able to service your product once you do make the sale.
When I was on a webinar with the Brazil Canadian Chamber of Commerce, organization you are very familiar with, they suggested that if you're going to do business in Brazil, you have to have a good relationship with an economist, a lawyer, and an accountant.
Yes.
And the lawyer and the accountant, I understood. The economist, I struggled with. Why is that important?
Okay, I'll tell you why the economist too is because the economic history, the economic variables in Brazil are really up and down all the time, and they move very, very quickly. It is a place, and as a result, with those interest rates, it's a place where you could make a lot of money very quickly too. But you must be on your toes, and you need an expert to be looking at the winds and saying, okay, this is going to happen next, so you must pay attention to it. That part is very, very important.
Peter, we've got an additional update here on some CUSMA information, which we know is rapidly coming up to a July 1st deadline. So what's happening? What's the latest?
Okay, well, the latest that I am picking out is there's two elements there. First of all, as you know, CUSMA, this is a review. This is not a negotiation. It's a review to determine, do we want to move forward and review some elements, or is it a renegotiation? Now that I've said that, it's the rhetoric around it is really complicated. So we're finding more and more people are thinking, oh, they're really going to do a review. I think with geopolitics the way they are, and my gut feeling with so much happening so many other places, maybe they don't want to open a new front entirely. Maybe it will be just let's review some specific things and see what we can do to fix those things. That said, the tariff rules that are the new tariff procedures that were instituted by the Trump administration have been struck down in February by the Supreme Court. And as a result, people are looking for their refunds. And they get their refunds under a system called CAPES, K-A-P-E-S. And it's an online system. You can put your stuff in. Anecdotally, a lot of people are saying they're having trouble uploading. I've talked to several people, too, who successfully uploaded their information. However, I want to give you a quick little stat here. Last week, at the end of last week, 75,000 claims were submitted, representing 11 million entries. Okay, so let's say that's an order with a bunch of products on it, and they were accepted for processing, but 2.1 million were rejected automatically. 1.74 million were in the liquidation stage for refunds. And so, even though officially the US Treasury is saying we will start issuing refunds in early May, I have heard plenty of scuttlebutt that the refunds are going to be months and months leading to years. It's going to be a long time. I have another piece of news too. Is it?
And there are billions of dollars at stake here.
Oh my goodness! Of course there are. So one of the things, and it's funny because we have many reliable people in members of the Mississauga Board of Trade, and we have one person who has cited the statistic many times that 2 days of sorry, I guess what is that? 1 year of Brazilian trade is equal to 2 days of U.S. Canada trade, and so so there is great hopes that we can turn that into something else. And but what I want to come back to is this billions at stake. There are billions at stake everywhere, and of course there are jobs at stake, and that's people's lives. You have to always remember that we may be talking about dollar numbers, but these are people's lives, and they need to make sure that they are still working. And we've had a problem too with all the systems we're using for our own Canadian CBSA, and with that problem has been that there have been huge delays at the border. Trucks coming north with food from Mexico, US, or wherever are stuck at the border because things are not processed quickly, or they may have to go to CFIA or different places to approve. But suddenly things that would happen in 30 minutes or less are, are 4 hours, even up to 10 hours. Last week, actually, the Globe and Mail did a big piece on this. There were huge delays, and those delays cost millions of dollars.
Lots more to come on this file and the Canada-Mercosur trade arrangement, CUSMA, and so much more. Peter, thanks for being with us. If you like this video, give it a like. And if you're enjoying the content, smash that subscribe button and get notified of our next episode. Thanks to Peter Hawkins for being my guest today. This is David Voiture for MBOT TV's Zoomcast, wishing you continued success in your business.